How's it going, everyone? My name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group. Today's topic I want to discuss with you withdrawing monies from your 401k retirement plan and how to make sure that you're doing it successfully and you are avoiding some of the mistakes that individuals make on a daily basis that results in them not being able to properly retire. So an example would be if, obviously you're coming into retirement, maybe in your late 50s, early 60s, and you decide, okay, I'm going to retire within the next few years, and you have accumulated a retirement plan known as a 401k account through your employer. So what was happening was each and every year you were placing money aside, a portion of your salary, into this type of retirement bucket, which we're going to deem a 401k, and every year that you're placing contributions into it, this bucket was also linked to different types of mutual funds that would determine whether your credit was going to be a positive credit, making your bucket larger, or whether it was going to be negative whenever the market went down, those mutual funds went down, which would make your bucket smaller. So when individuals are doing that towards their accumulation phase, they could set that up successfully, depending upon how which sort of mutual funds you chose, and making sure that you were becoming more conservative later on in life, rather than risking all the money to the market. Because as your money is susceptible to those mutual funds, yes, you could have good gains into that account, but you could also have large negatives to that account as well. So when it comes time for those later years and you decide I want to retire, I want to start pulling money and withdrawing from my 401k account, how do you know whether you're doing it properly? So the very first bullet point, I'm going off of some of the negatives, the problems that exist with individuals that are pulling this out blindly. And what happens is with all these 401k related accounts, typically they're tied to mutual funds. So they have different 401k related fees and different mutual fund related fees right off the bat. So if you're trying to pull money from an account that could potentially go down and has negatives working against that account, well, obviously you could deplete that bucket much faster than something that doesn't have those negatives. Hence why bullet point number 2 says how to maximize your 401k income. So if we're going through these different things, the risk of fees, withdrawals, and downward market loss, what exactly do I mean by it? And this, you might see a term online, whether you're reviewing different articles, throughout Google or different video tutorials. But essentially what it does is RDCA, which stands for reverse dollar cost averaging. And what happens is when you're leaving your money susceptible to an account that could potentially go down, you run that risk of outliving those monies. So in an example, let's say somebody has $100,000 in their 401k account and they want to pull 5% off of that account, to live off of for income for that year. So they want to pull out $5,000. Well, if this account, understand that because it's still within the 401k realm, you're going to have different 401k related fees. If it's tied to mutual funds, those are going to be different types of fees as well. So you might have 401k, you might have mutual fund related fees. If you're utilizing a financial advisor, a wealth accumulation specialist, they're typically going to charge you a fee known as a wrap fee, which that might be 1%, 1.5% each and every year. So that's that's another fee, that's another negative to your account, which is an advisor fee. And I apologize for my sloppy handwriting. The fourth aspect is downward market loss potential. Like in 2008, the average portfolio lost 57%. So these were portfolios that were also managed through financial advisors that were charging on those wrap fees each and every year. So the only thing that these advisors could guarantee you is that they're guaranteeing that you have to pay that fee each and every year. So you would have that, in this example, you would have the 401k related fee, mutual fund related fee, advisor fee, and downward market loss. Let's just say that even drops 10% in a given year or $10,000 in a given year. And then you start pulling out this money for income. Well, now you have a whole plethora of different negatives that work on the power of compound interest in a negative direction. That's further going to reduce your chances of getting to your destination successfully, being able to maximize out this income for the 401k related plans. So I hope that all of this makes sense. So please review this. Please rewind this little section right over here, because once you understand the concept of reverse dollar cost averaging, you understand the concepts of the negatives that could occur from your 401k withdrawals, and you know how to stop that properly. That's how you could set up your retirement destination successfully. So in this example, you could have pulled out 5% or $5,000 that year, but you could have been paying fees of 10,000, maybe an advisor fee of another 1,000, mutual fund and 401k related fees of another 1,000, pulling out money of 5,000, loss of 10,000. So in this sort of example, you would have pulled out $5,000 that year, but you would have lost $17,000 worth of value. So now the next year you're sitting at 83,000, and now if you want to match that same $5,000 of income, this percentage is going to be higher. Those fees are still going to stay there. Yes, the market could go up, but your market still the upward market movement still has to beat out how much you're pulling out in that income, and it still has to beat out those fees. So even if you're breaking even, you still have to pay those fees and all those different negatives. Regarding the first bullet point, regarding all those negatives that could run you that risk of outliving those monies. When we go to the next bullet point, how to maximize your 401k income, well, you have to really break it down into very simplistic terms for your specific situation. So if you're using 401k account, understand this is a type of savings account for retirement. Okay, you were placing this money aside, you were trying to grow this money, all to try to pull this money out for retirement or leave it to the loved ones after you pass away as some sort of inheritance. So that's the first thing, is when you maximize your 401k income, you want to make sure that your goal is pertaining to that 401k maximization income. What I mean by that is there's three things that typically anybody that we speak with on a daily basis that's looking to retire, or if they're currently retired, how to stay retired forever, they have to make sure that these three major things are met. The first thing is income. You want to make sure that you have a sufficient income source that's going to correlate specifically to what your budget is. Whatever your expenses are each and every month right now could be different in retirement. You could have either less expenses, you might have more expenses, depending upon the different things such as healthcare, long-term care type expenses, different things that, maybe a car that you've had for a while that it will soon be breaking down. Maybe you need repairs done on your house, whatever that case may be. So after understanding exactly how much your expenses are currently and what they might be in retirement, then you have to look at your income sources, your guaranteed income sources. An example of this might be Social Security income. So if you determine that maybe you have $50,000 of expenses in a given year and Social Security is going to come to you for $30,000, maybe you're receiving pension income for another $10,000 in a given year. Well, in this example, you have a gap of $10,000. So when you're trying to maximize out your 401k income, you could go and roll over this 401k into specifically designed IRA contracts that provide you with lifetime income guarantees through insurance companies and insurance company offerings. And so that could be one way on how you set that up successfully. So let's say if somebody has $300,000 that's sitting in their 401k account, and they have a goal of hitting $10,000 of income in a given year, the worst mistake that someone could make is saying, oh, I want to take all full $300,000 and place it into a type of IRA that's set up for max income. Because you only want to use, with those types of product lines, there are restrictions and there are different pros and cons with those types of product lines. But understand, you want to leverage the smallest amount of dollars of this 401k, but as much as necessary that's going to produce that $10,000 of income. So maybe you might have company A that's giving an offering of saying that you need to utilize a $150,000 deposit, as opposed to company B that says, oh, for that same $10,000 of income, we could produce you have to give us $200,000 of an initial deposit. If they're both the same quality company, well, then you should be going with company A all day long as opposed to company B, because you would be placing less dollars in there for a higher leverage, for a higher benefit to maximize out the 401k plans. Also, you want to make sure with all your plans that you're not running that risk of fees, that your withdrawals are maximized and it's guaranteed lifetime income for either you or you and your spouse, to make sure that even after the second spouse passes away, or after the first spouse passes away, the second spouse could still be receiving that income, kind of like how a pension plan works. You want to make sure that it's set up precisely if your retirement income needs do pertain to that specific situation. The second aspect is the emergency funds. If you're placing the smallest amount of dollars into something that will maximize what your income goal is, well, then you'll have all this extra money left over for emergency funds, where therefore you could play around with the market. You could do that big, market casino and utilize stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever that case may be. But what you don't want to do is leave your money into mutual funds or different types of accounts that could potentially go down and running that risk. You want to make sure that you're setting up your Social Security planning. If you're offered a pension plan, how exactly does that set up properly? And then you're leveraging your savings, such as your 401k, and you're designing that properly to receive those lifetime income streams at those three different angles, or two different angles, whatever your case may be. The third aspect that a lot of advisors don't speak about, let me clear off the screen, is inflationary expenses. Let's say if in the beginning of your retirement you have $50,000 of expenses, but some of these maybe we'll say 40,000 is fixed expenses, will never change, but 10,000 are inflationary expenses. So now you have to also set up a plan to make sure that you're laddering out your income properly that will give you boosts of income, step ups in income. Individuals used to be able to rely on Social Security for that inflationary protection, but now as we've seen, unfortunately, Social Security has been a huge mess, and the government has, well, at least for the current times, has not increased that inflationary, the protection, that COLA increase onto those Social Security type incomes. So, you want to make sure that you're setting up the plan so that you have that peace of mind. Because you've saved up that 401k retirement account, you could leverage this money, or you could leverage cash accounts, you could leverage 403bs, TSP accounts, whatever your case may be. But you just want to make sure that you're utilizing the smallest amount of dollars, but as much as necessary to accomplish your three major goals of income, emergency, and inflation, so that you could just keep living. You could, have that mindset of, if you want to retire and visit the grandkids every couple of months, or just go fishing, every day, or just kind of traveling throughout the country, whatever your ideal retirement is, you want to be able to pinpoint and make sure that you're using your chips the proper way on how to accomplish those goals. And that's what we specialize with the Fosse Financial Group. Is we are an independent agency, so we represent hundreds of thousands of different companies, making sure that we could set up a proper plan for your exact situation. Out of the different types of insurance products I was mentioning before, well, you might have 2,000 plus different product lines, 2,000 plus different types of strategies. Now, maybe 5 of them might be the only ones that work out really well for your situation. And now you have thousands of other ones that are just really, really poor products or poorly designed products. So what we try to do is give you unbiased information of saying, okay, listen, you could leverage this contract, making sure that it's providing you this amount of lifetime income. Then in a few years, you're going to step up in income, and you're giving yourself different retirement paychecks. And what we're trying to do is educate you each and every process, so that you're not just randomly dealing with a specialist. When we understand, we offer 24/7 customer service. So you can give us a call mornings, nights, weekends, holidays, whatever the case may be. But when you're speaking with a specialist that is dealing with the 401k withdrawals or 401k rollovers, we're going to educate you each and every step. So it's not saying, oh, I trust exactly, what the specialist is saying because he sounds like a nice guy. You want to own your retirement. With retirement, you only have one chance to get things right the first time. You don't have a second chance. You basically, you have to make sure that you're precise. You have to make sure you understand everything with these types of plans. And it could be a very beautiful thing. You could have that confident retirement. You could have that stress-free retirement, that confidence of never outliving your monies, and making sure that you have enough in emergency funds, enough of plentiful reserves that you could leave as an inheritance, or take care of your children, whatever the case may be, or grandchildren. So, and that's kind of what we try to do, is we always make sure that we're sticking to those basic concepts of education first, understanding the pros and cons, how to eliminate as many cons as possible, so that whatever's left standing is an excellent plan. We are A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. We've always had very good reviews. We've never had any complaints, and it's because of this methodical process. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.